With all that's going on when it comes to America and our economy, what is the safest place to put our money? Is it Bitcoin? Is it gold? Is it food? Is it in the bank? Or is it cash? Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons to each one of these and how I personally use every aspect of the ones that we're talking about. And hopefully it will give you some wisdom to decide what's best for you, your money, your family, and of course your liberty. Our goal is always to inform you and hopefully help you gain wisdom on what to do. This video is going to be a good one and it starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like this video, that's okay, give us a thumbs down, but tell us what you think about the video. Our goal is to build a community of like-minded folks trying to gain wisdom so we know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And hopefully by these videos, we can start gaining some of that wisdom. So let's jump into what we're talking about today. Is Bitcoin or crypto the best place to put your money? Pros and cons to that. Is precious metals the best place to put your money? Pros and cons to that. Cash, food, and so forth. So let's jump into the first one. Let's start with the easy one first. When it comes to when you get your money through a deposit in your bank. So let's talk cash first. Should we have cash? Is cash going to be okay if we see more of a movement towards de-dollarization or, banking collapse? Well, I believe we need some cash because cash, like we've said in tons of other videos dealing with finances, is cash is still king right now. It still allows you to have some kind of other form of a parallel society. And that's what we're going to really be talking about with this video, is every one of these have pros and cons, but every one of these can help you build a parallel society when it comes to your money, your wealth, and your guidance to take care of your family when it comes to your independence. I want to make sure I have at least 3 to 6 months of cash at my home tangibly to where I can utilize it if need be. Pros to this is it allows you to buy what you want without anyone knowing other than the buyer and seller. Not that you're doing anything bad with it, but it allows you to have that control, that freedom, and also the fact that, again, the transaction is between the two parties and no one else. So I think cash is still good for that reason. Also, we've talked about the grid shutdown, we talked about internet issues. It's a form of money that will be there. It's a currency, we know that. We know it's fiat, we know all the bad things about cash. Will it fall one day? Will it falter? I do believe that. I believe we'll see that. But until that time, cash is a very good option to have. So if you're asking me, I like to put around 30 to 40% of my money in cash. Just being honest. Now the pros to that, you have the availability to do what you want between parties. The cons to that is it puts you in a liquid spot to where your money is always losing value because the dollar ebb and flows. Inflation goes up, so it makes your dollar value go down. However, I still think you need cash. Cash to me is freedom, so we keep a portion in different areas. I don't keep every bit of that just in one safe. I think that's absolutely irresponsible. So you may have a safe here, you may have a cache or a cache or a catch buried somewhere. You may have a secondary safe somewhere. You may have a wallet, purse, whatever you're utilizing. But you need to have forms of cash, maybe split between 4 or 5 different locations just to know it's safe. Now, you're always volatile to what happens if all of a sudden, floods, fires. All that are things to think about when it comes to cash. So that's why I say don't put all your eggs in one basket. I wouldn't want to put all my cash in one place. Just like this video, I wouldn't want to put all my money or wealth or whatever you have that you've worked so hard for. It does not need to go in one place. So overview on cash, pros and cons. Transactions, free, liberty, a little bit more of a decentralized currency that is still has value today. The cons are inflation happens. The fact that it may not be protected because no one knows about your cash other than you, and it could keep you in a volatile spot. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin or crypto? So I want to kind of diverge first. I'm not the biggest crypto or NFT fan. I have a crypto account. I put a little bit here and there if I have extra 20 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, even 100 bucks. I may throw on the crypto market and it just be for the fun of it. Now, crypto I look at a little bit different than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a crypto, I understand, but it is a different form, a different commodity, I think, more than a security. Now that doesn't mean you have to follow my opinion. You may think I'm stupid for that, but I do think Bitcoin stands different than most crypto. So Bitcoin, let's talk Bitcoin. How do I buy Bitcoin, and what do I think the value of buying Bitcoin is? Well, Bitcoin is definitely a parallel society. It is a decentralized version of money. So I think it's great for that. To me, it's almost like the future's gold, and I'm gonna come back to gold in just a little bit. But I do believe in Bitcoin to an extent. Now, just like I would tell you to invest in something like precious metals, which we'll get to, I think Bitcoin is a good, viable option. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros to Bitcoin: it's decentralized, almost like cash. No one controls it, supposedly, so you can purchase Bitcoin and then have it two ways. You can leave it on the exchange, or like a hot wallet, quote unquote hot wallet, to where it stays right there on whatever application you're buying it through. Or you can place it on a cold wallet, which allows you to kind of hold your Bitcoin on a different device. Now, I'm not sponsored by any of these, but there's different cold wallets you can look at on Amazon. I can link the one that I personally have, but to be honest with you, it's not a big deal. If you don't have a lot of funds in Bitcoin, you can leave it on exchange. If you want to pull it off because you're starting to gain a lot of money and you want to keep it safe, or you think quote unquote it's safer on a cold wallet storage, there's some options there. You can find other people that know Bitcoin way better than me that can tell you about cold storage wallets and things like that, and that way you can help build a better opinion about it. So now for me, I don't like any more than about 10% of any money that I have that I consider my money, my wealth, or my asset pool to be going towards Bitcoin. I think it's a great option, and I think the sky's the limit. I think you're gonna see it skyrocket. So it's a way that you can put your money in something that's probably gonna go up in value. Now, it ebb and flows just like anything else, but I do believe you're gonna see it creep up. The pros to it is it allows you to have money on your phone, on your device, or on your cold wallet storage, where people can't just quote unquote rob you. Unlike cash you put in your wallet, cash you put in your pocket, cash you have in your home. Bitcoin will allow you not to get robbed with your money because it's on a digitized form of a wallet. There's no way that someone can say, give me all your money, and you have to give them your phone or give them, there's no way to do that. Now, when we talk about passcode, passkeys, all these different word options and how you store it, again, different video, but it allows you to have a little bit more protection there. I can't carry $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 worth of cash across any other border, or if I get pulled over and stopped and have that kind of liquid cash on me, people would think something is up. A policeman would say, okay, where'd you get this cash? Why do you want this cash? If I go to my bank and say, I want $100,000 of my money, $10,000 of my money, there's always questions of why do you want that kind of cash? Well, the good thing about Bitcoin is you could have $1 or you could have $1 million in your wallet or on the exchanges, and you could pretty much carry that wherever you go, and you can access it wherever you go. So unlike a bank where you may not can get those funds unless you're at the bank, unlike cash, unless you have the physical cash on you, it allows you to transact and have a little bit more maneuverability, especially in a new kind of climate such as the world we live in, digitized wise. Now let's talk about the cons. Cons, and these are whopping cons when it comes to Bitcoin for me, and that's why I always stay kind of grounded to a point where I don't put all my money in Bitcoin. The cons to it: it depends on energy, it depends on the grid, it depends on the internet to access the exchange, to access the transaction of Bitcoin. Now, you can have Bitcoin on a wallet and it's there for as long as I guess it needs to be. However, if I want to transact that, I can't do that like cash. I can't physically give you Bitcoin. And then also, I think it's programming us to realize digitized currency may be the way of the future. So it does scare me to a point where I believe it can one day be hacked. Now, you don't have to believe that. Again, I'm just telling you my opinion. Anything and everything that's online, I believe, has an opportunity to be hacked because someone is smarter than me or someone smarter than you. So I think it's wise to look at Bitcoin, maybe put some money there, but don't put all your eggs in one basket because it could be very risky. High risk, high reward to me. I think it's a great way to invest and put your money up, and it kind of helps get away from a centralized style currency or money. However, it still has the cons of energy. Is it safe? Is it real money because I can't tangibly have it, I can't hold it? And even though it's easier to transact, is it where I can transact it at all times? Especially if I'm living off grid, especially if there is no grid, especially if internet is down. That's some concerns. Now, I personally buy mine through Cash App. I think it's the easiest way to buy it. And then off of Cash App, that application, you can leave it on an exchange, or you can turn around and put it simply in a cold storage or send it straight to your bank. So if I'm buying Bitcoin, to me that seems like it's easier. Now, another big scary thing with Bitcoin is you're starting to see these big money managers, these big hedge funds, things, people like BlackRock, who I do not like, starting to dabble in crypto spaces. When we start seeing that and we start seeing more overregulation of crypto, two things happen. Either it gets brought in like a centralized currency, or it's brought in to be just like any other form of money where they're controlled by, you know, these big players in the systems, or it gets alienated and gets kind of washed out by some of the government bureaucracy too. So both of those things scare me, the regulation or the acceptance by big business or the big parties such as BlackRock. Both of those things are very scary to me when it comes to Bitcoin, so be careful. Now let's move on to probably my favorite, number 3. Is precious metals a good investment? Pros and cons to precious metals. Now we're going to look at it in two different ways. I look at it as gold and silver. Gold, I look at it as, I don't care to make money off gold. I just want to hold gold to hedge against inflation. It holds value because, again, it's true money. I like physical gold. I don't like paper gold. I don't want some exchange or some gold company holding my gold, because if I don't have it in my hand, it is not mine. There's no value to me, paper gold, more than it is paper money. So if you don't like cash and you say, I don't want cash, well, you don't want to have your gold sitting over somewhere in California or over in a different area of the world. I want my physical gold. So gold is to hold value. Silver, to me, I look at it as, this is the way I can spend precious metals. So I'm not going to take a bar of bullion gold or an ounce coin that's worth, you know, 1,000 or 2 or 3,000, whatever it is at that time, which right now it's 2,000, but say it goes up to 3 or 4 or 5,000. I can't take that and buy a loaf of bread. So gold helps me hold value. Silver helps me spend the value of the money, the real money that I have. So I look at silver as the way that I can actually spend the money. Gold to have to hold my value of my cash or my money or my assets. Silver the way that I can hold it, but at the same time barter, sell, and transact. Silver is going for anywhere from, you know, $25 to $35 an ounce right now. I would challenge you to start buying some silver and gold. Now gold, I like buying the ounce. It's expensive, but I like it because it allows it to be a little bit less pricing instead of buying the 1/10 or the 1/4 or the 1/2 ounce. I like buying the ounce because you can buy it per ounce cheaper than you can buy 10, you know, 1/10 ounce gold coins. So say for instance you're buying an ounce of gold, you may pay $2,000, $2,100, $2,200, depending on what exchange you're buying it from or what gold company you're buying it from. If you buy 1/10 ounces, it allows you to buy them over time, but overall you may spend $2,400, $2,500 because you're buying it in smaller increments. Now, I like it in every aspect. I have it in ounces, and I have it in quarters, and I have it in tenths. Now, I also buy American gold, I buy Canadian gold, I buy Austrian gold, I buy whatever gold that I can get my hands on. Silver, same way. I like junk silver because it's old, it's relict, it tends to barter well, and also has value to me. It's what we've used for all these years. I also like new silver coins made strictly from these gold and precious metal companies too. Now, how do I buy this? And again, what is my ratio on it? I personally like 10 to 15, maybe even 20% in precious metals personally for me. This is not any advising, this is just my opinion, my money. This is my personal story on it. Gold, again, I try to buy 1 ounce coins if I'm buying from a provider. So if I'm buying from Genesis Gold, down below, I like Genesis because again, they have a conservative or Christian aspect on gold, and I think it's just a good company. I like talking to the people that I call, they're easy to deal with. So if I'm buying from a company like that, or Birch or Rosslyn or whatever whoever you're buying from, I'd like the fact that I can buy 1 ounce because I can get it cheaper. Now that's a heavy buy load. That's a heavy cost. So if I'm not doing that, for instance, just yesterday, I had a dear friend call me. He owns a pawn shop, and he said, hey, I've come across a little gold. Someone came in and did some exchanging. Would you be interested? I never pass it up. So I went and looked at what he had. He had one that was 90% gold. He had three 1/10, 99% pure gold coins, and then he had one that was like an older quarter 1/4 ounce coin that was, man, years and years and years old. It was like a 1800s gold. I looked at every one of them and I found reason to buy every one of them. Why? Because they're all valuable based on what they're worth on the ounce of gold that's in it, but also I could buy them at different price points. So if there's 1/10 because it was, you know, bought local, as it was exchanged, I got a pretty good deal on it. So those 1/10 typically were going, you know, for $300 or $400 online. Well, I was able to pick it up for $200. The quarter size, typically online, it was going for, you know, $650, $700. I was able to buy it for $350 to $400, and so forth. So you see, I was able to exchange it, buy it locally, and it's between me and that gentleman. I have gold that I actually did not have to pay for with a debit card or wire transfer. I was able to buy the gold locally with cash, the cash that I had. So again, that transaction happened where now my assets grew, and only me and that gentleman knew that I was doing that. Physical gold is great. Now with the silver, a lot of pawn shops or a lot of local places will have older silver, what a lot of people call junk silver, which is the old quarters, the old dimes, some old coins from other countries. I buy those too. I like those. I like to have those as collectible items, but also a bartering item, and they hold value. But at the same time, if I'm buying gold from like places like Genesis, or if you're buying from Birch, or, you know, wherever you're buying from, if you're buying gold, add silver to it and you can fulfill an order. So say for instance, you don't have the money to buy a lot of gold. You may buy one piece of gold and a lot of silver, chunks of silver, you know, 1 ounce silver rounds or 1 ounce silver bars for usually $20 to $25, $30 a piece, which is a good deal because silver will go up in value. All this stuff that's maneuvering towards cleaner energy and the maneuvering of building more things dealing with you know, solar and batteries and all that. Rare earth minerals and silver are a big part of that. So I think precious metals is a good investment. Pros to it, you have it, it's physical, it never really loses value. The cons to it is it's just like cash. You have to carry this. If I'm walking with, you know, $10,000 worth of gold in my pocket or silver in my pocket, I'm clanking, it's heavy, it doesn't make sense to carry tons and tons and tons of gold on your person, you know. So you have to find a place to put it that's safe. Is it at your home? Is it at a safe? Is it a cash? What is it that would be safe? Again, I like to physically know where I can get my hands on it, so I don't want to go put it in a safe deposit box. I don't want to send it for storage. I want to hold it. So that's the con to it. You have to find places that it is safe, just like the cash. But I believe in precious metals. I believe it's a good thing to do. If you're buying local, look at your pawn shops and find reputable, trusted places. There's also exchanges in most bigger cities where you can find something. You're going to pay a more premium price at those exchange places, but it is a place you can purchase some gold and silver. Also look at some of the online places, but remember, those are wire transfers or using credit cards or having to send a check by mail. So you're having to put your gold or silver in the mail. Not a big deal, but it is something like a risk until you get it. But I use all these options. So now we've talked cash, the pros and cons. We've talked Bitcoin or crypto. We talked about how I purchase it, how I store it. We've also talked precious metals. Now let's jump on to two more things that I think are very important. So another big investment when it comes to cash and having my money spent as an asset. What I see value in, personally, my personal story, is I see it in food and protection for me. From sundry to food and fulfillment of eating, and then also to protect all the things that I have. I find value in that. If it be livestock on my farm, if it be gardening, if it be seeds, if it be pantry providing, such as a prepper, all those things I find value in. So when I talk about having this much cash, the reason I have this much cash is because I want to invest in ourselves, myself, my family. I love the asset pools of financial benefits such as Bitcoin, gold, or cash. But when it comes down to it, I can't eat Bitcoin, cash, or gold. I can eat food. So my goal is always to stockpile and make sure I'm putting up a good bit of food. You should be working towards 6 months, a year, 3 years, 7 year supplies of food. It's not only being a good steward, it's also smart. It's a sustainable way of looking at independence and liberty. So I challenge you, I've done tons of videos on food stockpiling. You know that. That's probably why you watch my channel. But you need to find value as an asset financially to having food. because you don't lose your independence. You do not lose your liberty because you are at the beck and call of making sure that you feed your family. If you have food and sustainable resources, not only financially, but having your money put in something like food is key. So what I personally do every time, once a month, we go to a bigger box store and buy the things that I can't grow. Once a month, I buy from Azure Standard, which is a grocer. I have a link to them below. You can look at their store. There's no monthly fee, nothing like that. This is not an online grocer where you have to pay some kind of crazy fees. It's just you buy what you want, you go pick it up, and it kind of takes out the grocery store, and they're a great reputable company that has holistic style foods. So again, I find value in buying from one box store that I can't grow, one Azure Standard pickup or grocery, online grocery, where I can order it and then I just meet the guy at a physical location to pick up what I ordered. And then again, I start growing food. By doing those three ways of having food and having sustainability, it allows me to know that my independence and my sustainability when it comes to taking care of my family as a prepper, as a homesteader, I don't worry about feeding them. I have food. Now, how do we protect all this? Well, self-defense. I make sure that a lot of the value I put up in cash and things like parallel decentralized money is I look at brass. I look at self-defense items. I look at buying things that can protect and secure my home. I have a safe. I have different places I put those things, but I want you to understand, if you can't protect your family, then all of this other stuff is for naught. Your Bitcoin will be okay because it's not stored at your home. But when it comes to your cash, your gold, your food, and your family, you need a self-defense tool. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. If it be a long version of that or a short version, if you're enhanced carry, there's value in it. If you're stocking food or you're stocking self-defense items, they've only went up in value for the last few years. Every time there's scarcity and fear into the markets and into our economy, food value goes up because of inflation or the cost of goods, just supply chain issues. So your food has gained value hand over fist. It's like 10 to 15 to 20% depending on what you're stockpiling. So you have not got any rate of return on anything else that we've talked about when it comes to your money more than food right now. Same way with ammo or with a self-defense item to use the ammo. Those things are going up in value. Every time there's scarcity and fear, it goes up in value. So now you're not only having an asset, you have something that's going up in value. You have something stabilized such as gold. You have another player, which is Bitcoin's a new form of currency, can be scarce, but also then you still have the decentralized cash that's still king. So we've talked about a lot here. This is my personal money. So this is what I'm doing. The last thing I want to mention is bartering. All these items can still be bartering. And you have to remember, whatever you're investing in, whatever you choose to put your money in, you need to look at it as, I need to break away from the typical status quo system. Now, do you have money in the bank? Colby, yes, I do. Do you have money in the stock market? Colby, yes, I do. I have money in both of those places, but I don't want all my wealth in that. Now, will I miss out on the great rides of the stock market? Yeah. Will I miss out on the CD that's paying really good, or the savings account that's paying really good at a bank, or investment opportunity? Probably, I'll miss all that. But I would rather know that my money is a little bit more tangible. 401ks, cash in the bank, both of those things are good, viable options, but I don't keep a big portion of my money in those things because I want to look at money, I want to look at assets, I want to look at freedom and liberties of all those things in a little bit more decentralized way versus more than a systematic way that we've been taught over these years. If we look at our inflation and the climate that we're living in, and you say, okay, I've got to invest enough money to cover my cost when I retire. Well, Social Security's not doing that. Your 401k is not doing that. And that should be proven because everyone that's retiring now, studies show that more than half of the people do not have any retirement funds built up to take care of their families. So what I do is I say, I want to look at decentralized ways to have money put up. So when I talk about the pros and cons of all these, they have pros and cons. But overall, if I spread that out amongst these, then I am taking care of my family from feeding them to having a hedge inflation, but also have a decentralized currency still that is being provided to buy the things I want to buy without anyone knowing it. So bartering in a parallel society is what we need to do. Another video for another day, but a lot of times boycotts and all these bigger players in the markets, those things are going to happen. And I think that you should definitely stand up for your morals and values. You're probably not affecting their bottom line just as much as you think you are because they're so involved in the system. So what my goal is, I want to break away from that. Yes, we're living the world, so we have to be somewhat in the world and we have to spend money in the world. We understand that. But if I can keep a lot of my value in something else other than the system, I think we have a better chance of being a little bit more free and have a little bit more independence. Now, last point is you have to learn to have that parallel society and also invest back in yourself and understand that we need to build knowledge. If you don't understand gold, silver, or Bitcoin or cash, you need to do your research on that. If you don't know the best foods or the best prepping items to buy or the best self-defense tools that you can buy, you need to do research on that. So lastly, when building this parallel society, you have to learn to invest in yourself too, to say, okay, I need to build knowledge, wisdom, and learn why people are investing in this. Why is it so valuable to look at crypto? Why is it so valuable to look at cash? Why is it so valuable to look at precious metals? There will be naysayers in our comments on every one of these aspects. From cash, there'll be people who say, well, the dollar's falling, cash is gonna be worthless. You can't wipe your butt with it. There'll be someone saying, well, gold and silver is good, but it's physical, it's too heavy, bulky, and it doesn't gain money. That's not the point of it, but it doesn't gain money. Bitcoin, it's fake, it's farce, it's just junk crypto, and the government will take it over one day. We hear all that. I mean, we'll hear all that in the comments. So here's what I challenge you to do. Quit listening to everyone. I'm telling you what I personally do with my money. Now you do the research and find out how you can make sure your money is safe and how you can spread it around. If none of these options work for you and you say, I need to invest in stocks and mutual funds and make sure that all my money's in the bank because I believe it has the best rate of return, go for it. But do your research on that. If your best asset is investing in land and real estate and homes, absolutely. But don't pile yourself in debt. Make sure you're getting a good deal on it. Having land is an asset, but remember, because of property tax, because of all the government wonderful regulations, there's still a lot of things you have to deal with when it comes to property. Love property. Wouldn't change my property for nothing. I'd buy more land if I could, or could find it close to me. So there's nothing wrong with that. So you need to find out what's best for you by learning and understanding parallel societies and providing yourself with a parallel money system or financial system is really where it's at. No matter what options you look at, you have to look at it as, I need to break a little away from the system and understand that I want the freedom to do what I want to do with my own money. So I hope this video helps. It's not about as much scare tactics. It's just saying I want you to build knowledge when it comes to all these options. Gold and silver, 10 to 20% is kind of what I want. Bitcoin, love dabbling in it, but it's 10% because I'm kind of scared of what's coming with BlackRock and how they're pushing for new regulations from the government. That kind of scares me a little bit, so I get a little creeped out when it comes to that. Cash, still probably my main mode of currency because I believe that it is still worth it, where I can turn around and buy the bartering items, I can buy the food, I can buy the self-defense, but it also allows me to still have a decentralized way, the transactions between me and whomever I'm buying it from. It's not about buying things wrong or right. I want my transactions between the buyer and seller, not the whole world, because I believe that the more you use digitized currency, such as credit cards, debit cards, or your banking, there's paper trails that sometimes you may not want anyone to know. So cash is still a very vital part of our lives. And then again, learning and understanding wisdom and seeking the best ways to put your money. Food is amazing, self-defense is amazing, bartering is amazing. Make sure you're buying things that can bring value to your home. When all of a sudden any of these currencies crash, this money crashes, you have ways to feed your family, you have ways to take care of your family, and you have ways to defend your family. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, go down here, press subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tell us what you think. Also remember, we do giveaways for our subscribers each and every month. We gave something away just last video. We're another gift away in just a few days, and then we have them every month. So please be subscribed to both channels, the Max Life, which is our vlogging channel. You'll see a lot more of my wife and family, so check that channel out too. Thank you again for watching. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Happy homestead.